Hey there, this is Sue Hansen, and I am at Trackside Quilting here in Laurel, Montana, just doing a little bit of long arm quilting. I am actually quilting on a quilt that I am designing. It is a series of 3, and it is one of the 3 sisters quilts in my collection. I am making 3, one for each of my sisters and myself. The doilies that I'm sewing down here are made by my mom, who passed away in 2018. And so I am trying to preserve those in the form of a quilt for my sisters and I. This is my first YouTube video, so I would like to say thank you for watching. And if you enjoy it or want to see more, please hit the like and subscribe button, because apparently that's how you get more time on YouTube, and I would love to see some subscribers. On the doilies on this quilt, I am quilting them down using my spoon foot. My Gammill long arm machine is the largest Gammill, called an Optimum. It is non-stitch regulated and has 0 bells and whistles. Her name is Jewel, named after my grandmother, and I have been using Jewel since about 2008. She was born in 2000, and again, she is just a basic machine, non-stitch regulated, no bells and whistles, but she has been my girl this whole time, and I love using her. The non-stitch regulation I learned on, and so it's easy for me. It's easier than using a stitch regulated machine. I prefer the non-regulated because that's what I'm accustomed to. The large navy blue dots on the quilt were appliqued with a coordinating thread and a large zigzag. I used the interfacing method, where you sew interfacing to the right side of your applique, and then you slit the back of the interfacing, you turn your piece, and then you're able to applique it down, and it looks like needle turn applique, and there is no raw edge showing, which makes it a little fancier in my opinion. I am just doing some feathers around the circles, and you'll see that sometimes I do just a plain old long arm feather, which goes from the top down, making about like a half of a heart shape. The other method I do is called the bump back or hump and bump method, where you go from the bottom and you make your heart, and then you come out from the stem, touching the first half, you bump back and make your next feather. I also am using some templates. The little orange arc that I used to kind of hold my doily down while I sewed it is a Julia Quilt Off template. I love her arcs. They are the same arc on the top and underneath, and I have a whole set of them, and I love Julia Quilt Off quilting, and I love her. She's just a beautiful little person. The others, the circles, are just even numbered. So I have a 2, a 4, a 6, and 8-inch circles, and I use those in the circles to do some stitching. You have to hold them down, which is kind of hard sometimes. As you can see, when I use the little circle in the corner. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying these videos, and become a subscriber. If you want to go to my website, it is www.tracksidequilting.com. That's TRACKSIDE quilting.com. We are right across the street from the rail yard in Laurel, Montana. And so that is why I named my shop Trackside Quilting. On the background, I'm doing just a feathered fill along with maybe some pebbles, a little bit of straight lines to fill in some spaces where the feathers didn't go. I also am going to make some ghost circles to mimic the navy blue circles that I've already appliqued to the quilt and the doilies. When I do those ghost circles, I'll just use the template, the circle template, and then I will fill them in various ways and probably feather around them. As I'm doing the background fill, I'm just moving forward, filling each space as I can go. Sometimes I have to stop and start, and so I just cut the threads and move to the next spot. I also like to echo around the feathers to get to another spot. Sometimes that helps in traveling. Some of the circles, I've done different things. I did some pebbles in one. I did some just feathers, or in my ghost circle, I did a arc back and forth across the center, and then I feathered around it. The little dot up in the left-hand corner, I am going to leave, and so that it's a little poofy once everything else is quilted down. As you can see, I am feathering from the bottom up, and then when I get to the top, I will feather from the top down. I like to use a stem so that I have a guideline as to where to put my feathers. And then once I'm done with the feathers, sometimes I echo around them. As you can see, I'm getting towards the edge of the quilt, and I have not basted the sides down because I like to be able to maneuver those as needed. And so since this quilt is laying so flat, it doesn't matter if I baste the edges down or not, because I can just hold them down if I need to. Here I am adding some straight lines to fill in between the feathers. If your feathers are too far apart, then sometimes you try to make your feathers large to fill in that gap, but then they get floppy and don't look very nice. And so I just go about my business. And then if there's a small space that isn't filled in, I'll fill it in with straight lines or maybe do some pebbles in there. Just some different things. I go up and down vertically, and then sometimes I'll go horizontally. Here again, I'm filling in some space with the stem, and I'm doing a spiral stem on this particular spot in the quilt and adding my feathers around the curl, filling in that spiral. Here again is another stem, and I'll start at the top and head down with my feathers. When I get to the base of the stem, I will head back up the other side with my bump back or hump and bump feathers. Traveling, you can echo around and get you to the next spot if need be. Throw a little curl in there at the end. Now I'm echoing around again. Here I'm making my ghost circle that I was talking about earlier. It's just a circle that only shows with the thread. You can't see it first thing, but then if you start looking, you'll see different fun items in the quilt. I'm going back and forth with the circle to give it some vertical lines, some curved vertical lines. And then I will feather around it and echo that. Once I've got all the space filled in, I am going to move the quilt up and start on the next row. I usually try to do the full row. Even if I change color of thread, I'll try to do the whole row. And with the large throat space of my Gammill Optimum, it makes it easy to do an 18-inch wide path across the quilt. Then when I roll, I will start with the color of thread that's in the machine, get everything in that color done, and then I will come back and change the thread and do the other color. In this instance, I used white to lay the doilies down, and then I'm using a steel blue to quilt the background color and the square or the circles. So let me tell you a little bit about the machine and the materials used. My machine, again, is a Gammill Optimum. It is non-stitch regulated, meaning the motor runs and I have to move consistently to keep my stitches the same size. I am using a size 16 Gross Beckert needle with signature thread. In the bobbin, I have Magna Glide pre-wound bobbins, which I absolutely love. It's the laziest way to have bobbins, but they work fabulous in my machine. I rarely have tension issues and love that about the Gammill machine. The backing is a Applique. The batting is 70/30 Quilter's Dream, and that's probably my favorite batting right now. It gives you a little poof. It's not very dense, and so it gives you a nice drape once you've quilted up your project, but it is sturdy and gonna last and is a great batting. The top piece is a screen printed fabric from Hoffman Fabrics, and screen prints often run when the needle goes through them, so using a sharp needle, changing your needle to a new needle is pretty important at the get-go, and then about halfway through it doesn't hurt to change the needle again. So here I am again doing some straight lines horizontally this time, just to fill in a small space that wasn't captured with the feathers. I also threw in a few pebbles up in the top so that if the space is small and you can't do a good horizontal uh, run, then it's easier to just do some pebbles in there. They look fun and are simple. Here I am just finishing up filling in this bottom part with more feathers. This whole quilt is going to be an all over feather design, where other quilts sometimes you just put the feather in the border or you just run the feather in a block or something. This has an all over feather design because I really love feathers and I think they are dainty and elegant, and that's kind of how I want the feel of this quilt to be. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch my video today. If you have any questions, you're welcome to shoot me an email at tracksidequilting@msn.com, or you can go down below here and shoot me a question. Thanks again. Hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will try to keep these videos coming for you.